that like couple of days, that was my experience with like Canadians and stuff, and they had just, I think, at the time passed where they made marijuana legal in Canada. I said California almost. So like when I went there, everybody was smoking and like partying, so it was funny. Everybody was super happy and nice, you know.
Dude, yeah, legalization was a great moment. It's like a long time coming for us. We've had like a huge pot culture forever. Like BC has always had like crazy bud, and I mean Toronto has like tons of we have like vapor lounges where people just go and sit. It's like a bar, but you just smoke weed in there. And it's just nice that we have it legalized. It's nice that you don't need to worry about it. It's nice that you can just go buy it on a street corner now. Or you can grow your own plants, because it's like, I don't know, I've always been very pro cannabis. I've had like a weird relationship with it for a long time because I've like, if I smoke too much, I get very paranoid and very uncomfortable. But I've started smoking this like CBD cannabis, and it like, normally my mind is going a mile a minute. The way I describe it is two dudes playing squash. It's just like ideas and thoughts are just like bing, 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 and it like never turns off. Meditation helps a little bit, but the thing that helps the most is like this CBD cannabis. It just like
Mellows you out.
calms my mind down, and I can just focus. It's like, I think I've never been diagnosed, but I might have ADHD. I don't know. But this helps me not need, like, if I was to need to get medication, I wouldn't have to. I can just smoke a little weed, do it in the morning, and I don't like have to rip a bong. I just take a couple puffs, and then I just go about my day.
So you wouldn't call yourself a pothead, is what you're saying? Like you're
No, like I'm not like a stoner to the point where like I have some buddies that get like ripped consistently. There's a few comics that like are like, there's this one comic. He's maybe the funniest person I've ever seen in my life. Mike Rita. He's out of Toronto. He used to run the show at Vapor Central, which was this vapor lounge where he would run Stoner Sundays. And this man, I saw him take like 10 dabs on stage. Every time he would come up, he was hosting, so he'd come up in between the comedians. Someone would give him a dab, and he would hit dabs. He hit like 2 back to back, and he would hit these dabs and go like, and then do bits, and then do an act, and then bring people on. It was like it was a spectacle to watch.
I bet.
But yeah, I don't smoke weed like that.
Because a lot of the guys that I would do jujitsu with, since they were, you know, like big into like obviously 10th Planet, they all everybody was always talking about Joe Rogan podcast, and like they would smoke before like class started, because they would always talk about how it like helped kind of like, it helped you think about, because it's like mind chess, you know, you're trying to figure out how you can get past somebody to choke them out, you know, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And so I always thought that was interesting. Like I know I've heard Joe Rogan talk about how like some UFC fighters have talked about training that way, and how like it kind of just it helps them like learn better. So it's interesting. Because I mean, when I was in California, I've done it a few times, but I mean, it's not recreational over here in New Mexico yet. Like I think they just passed it to be. So once I moved from California, I haven't really touched it, but I think it's supposed to be legal here in like April of next year. So like they're giving them like a year to like figure out all the policies and stuff, which is probably a good idea, or else it would just be chaos. But because I mean, over here, you know, you can literally be in like Colorado, everything's fine, and then you go to, you know, the other state with your weed and stuff, and you end up in jail. Like it's just crazy how it's all depending on whether you cross this line or not. Yeah.
Like even in Canada before it was legalized, if you got caught with like a few grams on you, I think they make you throw it out or something. Like I don't think anything would happen. Like I think if you got caught with like less than an ounce on you, unless you had like an ounce and like a scale and like baggies, like there was like intent to sell or something, like I think you'd be fine. Maybe like a little slap on the wrist or a fine or something. But like over there, I know you guys get, in some states you get caught with like a gram and you're going to prison. And it's like, what?
It's crazy. I've watched live PD on my stream sometimes, and somebody will get pulled over because like their tire looks like the lug nuts are loose. So they'll pull them over, but hey, your tire's loose, and all of a sudden they got like trash bags full of weed, and it's like, you're going like for a long time to prison, you know, like 10 years. It's like, geez, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
dude. And like, I understand that weed is viewed in a certain way, but I truly don't believe it's a drug that like it is it. it shifts your mental state, which makes it a drug. But so does coffee. And if we have like booze on the shelves, like if we're judging drugs on like civil damage, like how much of like consuming it affects the populace and causes people to do bad things, man, you get high, you chill out. You like some people smoke weed for aches and pains. It has medicinal benefits that no other, like it knocks a whole bunch of pharmaceuticals out of being necessary. Like I'm saying, like I smoke it, I wouldn't need to take like ADHD medication or anything
Yeah.
like that. Like mind you, I'm self-diagnosing on that whole front. I have not been diagnosed and no one has given me this.
I think everybody says they got a little bit of it, but obviously some people got it more than others, and then people have it really extreme or like, you know, they got to go like take medication and stuff. So you never know. I mean,
Yeah. But like I think I'm really happy to see legalization start to get rolled out in the States, and I hope it becomes everywhere. I really think that because it's been illegal, we haven't been able to research it, and we haven't been able to find what the real medicinal benefits are of it. Like because I work for a cannabis page now and I make cannabis content for them. So I do the extra effort to learn more about cannabis. And when you start digging into the science of it, you realize we know nothing. We know nothing. They'll know because so much studies have been just shut down or cut off or didn't get the proper supplies. So they'll be like, oh yeah, people say like, oh, cannabis has cancer fighting properties. And they're like, well, we know that if we took a certain type of cannabinoid and then we gave it to rats that had cancer, that their cancer reduced by 30%, but we have no idea why. And we know there's kind of a cause and effect here, but we have no clue what is the relationship. So as this legalization happens, we're going to learn so much about this like extremely powerful plant. Like think about how high you can get on weed. Like if you eat too many edibles, you can get like psycho state high where you think like the world is going to explode, and then you come right back to normal. Like not a lot of substances can do that.
Yeah, I would say like the only thing that's scary about it, I mean, the thing that I can think of right now, just by what I know from personal experience, but like I went to high school with somebody, and I think he had some mental illness, like kind of like schizophrenia or something kind of manifest, you know? And I was like, I don't know if I was watching his Facebook Live or something, but I had seen that like he got super high and had basically induced like an episode, you know, and he was like downtown just going crazy. And so like I could see how like for some people it's like there's not that education that like it can induce stuff like that. People don't know, you know. It's like, yeah, they need to do research and stuff, but like it's hard to get funding for something like that when it's in the state that it is, you know.
100%. And one thing I had to learn on my own was that no one teaches you, because there isn't the proper education about it, is that you just need to get a little high. You just take if someone hands you a joint, you don't like take a huge drag off it and smoke the whole joint. You take a puff and then you pass it and you just sit on that and see how you feel. But with like drinking, we have that education. People know that if you drink too much, you get drunk, you can throw up, you can get alcohol poisoning. People don't know that if you get too high, you can feel like you're going insane. And for some people, it can induce, like if someone has an underlying condition of psychosis, there has been some connections between that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, like you said, to see what kind of comes out as it gets, because I could totally see it being legalized in like the next, I don't know, 2 to 5 years or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think we're slowly gonna roll into like where it's just common. People just smoke, and it's just like it's a thing.
It's like drinking.
Yeah. I like there's a lot of old stigmas that people just are stuck with. Like there's the whole, it's a gateway drug, and it's like, man, if weed's a gateway drug, how is alcohol not a gateway drug? How it's like they're both drugs.
Yeah, and I mean that was the thing too, is when I was in the military, obviously they can't smoke or do any of that stuff, you know, so everybody just got shit faced all the time. And I mean, I know people who smoke a lot, and you know, they get super high and they just kind of like get a more mellow, like slow talking version of themselves, you know, start talking about crazy stuff. But when people get super drunk, like you never know what's going to happen. I mean, like I knew people who would just try to start fights with you for no reason because they're just that drunk, you know? And it's like, or you got to wrestle them for their keys because they're trying to just like get behind the wheel and drive away. Like they don't have they're inebriated or whatever you call it. Like they just can't make conscious decisions like they normally
Yeah.
would.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
they're two completely different types of intoxicated.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, like we've said, I think I think we're gonna get to a place where it's much more common and much more casual. Like there's a lot of times I'm out at a social event and I would way rather just get a little high and just like kind of hang out rather than drink. Sometimes you don't want to drink, and it's like less effect on your body and stuff too. Like if I'm on like a good clip and working out and stuff, I get drunk. It's like, oh, then the next day I'm hungover. I can't work out that day. I kind of ruined the progress from a few days before that because I'm eating a bunch of greasy food. When I get high, I'm just kind of like just grooving a little bit. I have a good sleep at the end.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I never really obviously I turned 21 in the military, and with everybody the way they are in the military, I went and partied and tried it out and everything, but the negative effects from it just never really felt worth it. Like I was just like, why am I doing this? And like
Dude.
it got to the point where I was like, well, I was living alone at one point. I didn't have a roommate when I first got to San Francisco, and so I turned 21 living alone. And one day I was like, I'm just sitting here drinking, like binge watching Harry Potter or something like that. Like, what am I doing? This is so stupid. Like, I should go out and explore, And instead, I'm sitting here by myself. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. I feel like alcohol. I think. I mean, I've heard all kinds of different takes on it, but I think a lot of it just has to do with regulating it, and obviously the pharmaceutical company is going to take a hit when it becomes legal because, like you said, like somebody who might have ADHD could just, smoke a little CBD or something like that, and then they're not going to take those pills,
Tons of medicinal benefits from it that still need to explore to be what exactly they are, but you can't patent it, right? You can't patent a plant.
Right. Yeah, you can't do that.
You can just grow it. And hopefully, like, pray to God they don't weasel some way to patent cannabis. I mean, I think there would be an uprising if that happened. I would hope there would be.
Yeah.
But I think booze is like it's so ingrained in us from like a young age because it's such a part of like our culture. Like the first time I drank, I was like 14 or something, and like you're at a party and now it's connected. You're like first experience of like a high school party. I'm drinking. I have this like now connection in my brain that drinking equals like fun, and you just kind of carry that through life, that every like social interaction requires drinking, every like party requires drinking, and maybe it does enhance the experience. Maybe everyone getting a little loose and drunk makes it the whole time more fun, but I do kind of want to step away from it a little bit. I just find it, like you said, the physical repercussions from it just seem so much worse than what you get out of it.
Yeah. Like there was one time I was hungover and like I would try to eat and then the nausea would come back and I'd puke and then I'd just feel like crap and then I'd be like, oh, I should eat. I'm kind of hungry, and then puke again. Like it's just, weed doesn't do that to you.
No, and also like you're married, man. You're married. Like,
well, yeah,
most of the time
obviously, there's a kid running around. I can't be getting drunk all the time. But
yeah. Like when I'm getting drunk, it's mostly to get laid. It's like what I've realized now. I'm like, that's why I'm drinking, because I'm like, oh, if I drink, I'm at a party. There's that socializing aspect. It might lead to getting laid, and then I'm like, why? Why am I having this mental connection between booze and ladies?
I just think it's funny that you're always like, I'm never doing this again, and then like a couple days later, it's like, hey, you want to go out for drinks? Yeah, sure. You're like it didn't even happen.
Yeah. But it becomes like, I've had stints of quitting drinking where like not around COVID, where I've been going out and stuff, and it gets so hard to socialize. It is like if you go out, everyone's drinking, you're the only one not drinking. It's strange. You like don't know what to do with your hands. You don't have like a thing to fidget with and taste, and you now have to like let down your social barriers naturally rather than being lubricated by the booze. So you have to learn like a brand new way to talk to people, and that's hard, man.
Yeah, I mean, I watched people quit smoking cigarettes when I was on the boat, and so like they'd either take up vaping or like they would literally just go sit out by like the people smoking with like a cup of coffee or something, just because that was their social little like getaway where they go talk and stuff. And it goes back to those habits, man. It's hard to break habits,
So hard to break habits, and when they get built in, like, yeah, getting built into you from a young age, like, I have this habitual idea that if I get drunk or if I'm around people drinking, then I'm going to have fun, and that it's directly related to fun. It's like, is it? Maybe it is a little bit, but it's like, you need to break that cycle. And I try not to shift it into something else. Try to keep the eating clean. Trying to pick up something like exercising or something as my new habit, or just fill the void with video games some more. I've been getting into like the Dark Souls series quite a bit. I'm playing Bloodborne for the second time right now,